Yeah. Oh, yes. Wait until the microphone gets there.
Hi, I'm Ben Barber, and I write a column for McClatchy Newspapers. Dr. Alani, how is the emergence of Turkey in the region, what's happened with this trip by Erdogan and the fighting with the separation from Israel, how is this going to affect the region? Do you think that Turkey can provide a kind of a leadership, and how is it going to affect the region?
Yes. Yes, please. Go ahead and take the question.
You see, the value of Turkey compared to Iran, we're sitting in this region, we look at three non-Arab states, Israel, Turkey, and Iran. Turkey was the most favorite state for us because they never meddle in our internal affairs. Now, apart from the Kurdish problem, we don't have any major problem with Turkey. Now Turkey moved to our internal politics. I don't know whether it is a good thing or a bad thing. But Turkey moved because there is a huge gap. There is no Arab leadership. After the disappearance of Egypt after Camp David, Iraq during the war with Iran, Syria after the death, Arab become leaderless. And I think that you see the Iranian influencing our politics in different angle by interfering in our affairs. So the value of Turkey was two things. First, they are not interfering in our internal affairs. Secondly, they are close to Israel, and they are NATO country. So we try to use this value. I think Turkey is losing this value gradually. Turkey is losing this, the value. Turkey found a huge economic opportunity. Whether in Iraq, in Iran, and basically the Turkish economy now rely on the investment and on export and import from this country. We are not sure, actually. We are not, popularly everybody saying Turkey doing good job because the confrontation with Israel, but on the leadership level, there is a lot of a question mark.
Thank you. Next question, Ambassador Wahba.
Marcel Wahba, former State Department Foreign Service officer, now with PineBridge Investments. Dr. Sager, I wanted to go back to the comment that you made that no one is immune of the events in the region. So I'm assuming that Saudi Arabia and other GCC countries are looking very closely at what's happening in Egypt and in Syria in particular, also Tunisia, of course. But can you tell us a little bit what influence, what role they're playing as they look at Egypt? What if the parliamentary elections, are they supporting, not supporting the Muslim Brotherhood? Also in Syria, we also saw the strong statement by King Abdullah about Bashar al-Assad. So how are you influencing events inside Syria and in Egypt, given the importance of the GCC, not only Saudi Arabia, but the GCC countries combined?
Yeah, I think that's a question for you, yes.
Well, thank you, Ambassador. Great to see you again here in Washington. The general perception that the GCC countries, they have been against the Arab Spring. In reality, no. Why? I mean, just look at if Saudi Arabia did not accept to take Zain al-Abidin quickly, and the success of the Tunisian revolution have led to a successful Egyptian revolution. So in reality, it was one of the GCC countries, Saudi Arabia, have accepted whether they wanted it or not. He never wanted to end up in Jeddah. I'm sure he would have preferred to be in south of France. Much more interesting place and nicer and cooler. And so, but somehow he ended up in Jeddah, close to the desalination plant, because the military hospital next to the water desalination plant in Jeddah. So I'm sure by Saudi Arabia accepting, to receive him that day, for whatever reason, have led to a success into the Tunisian revolution, which then the snowball effect went to the other one. This is one. Second, look at the political, military, economics, and diplomatic support they have received from the region. Yes, everybody talk about Saudi position with regard to President Mubarak, but that was due to a humanitarian issue, nothing else. They never wanted to support Mubarak regime. They understand the problem of the Mubarak regime. But somebody who's more than 80 years old with a severe cancer in his pancreas, there is a humanitarian issue. So that was a dimension for trying to look at to President Mubarak's health condition himself, not his son, not his regime, not so. So when the military transition took place, they supported that and they welcomed that. In fact, the first visit was by an Egyptian prime minister was to Saudi Arabia. Number 3, media-wise, Al Arabiya and Al Jazeera are the one who really support, and both are Qatar and Saudi. Both are the one who really supported, the revolution and supported and get all the big coverage for the notion to continue and to move there. Financially, Kuwait could not participate militarily like Qatar and UAE with the Libyan, but they have contributed $180 million. Saudi committed $4.5 billion to Egypt immediately. So there is also that economic dimension. As I said, military, both Qatar and UAE, 2 countries, they were the first one who called for a no-fly zone on Libya. And that's have led to Security Council in 1973. So in reality, they were not against it. A lot of perception in the people's mind that they were against that. No, they were not. Somehow, deep down, maybe they have wished to see an evolution and not revolution. When somebody asked Minister Faisal the other day about how the Saudi can help the Tunisian revolution, he said, I hope not, because we don't have an experience in revolution. So we don't need to help the Tunisian the revolution, how to overcome. But still, I think the contribution will be significant in that one. Is all of that going to affect? Yes, it did speed up the process of reform required in the region. Is the process of reforms that are taking place up to the people's expectation, and is the gap getting wider or narrower between the people's expectation and the ability of the state to deliver? Maybe before January 2011, the gap was wider. Now I think the gap is getting closer because government have realized that nobody is immune and things can happen and they need to move faster into that sort of reform. So we have seen a different sort of measures of reforms in the region there.
Ali Dad.
Sorry, Syria, I did not respond into the Syria one. Yes.
Oh.
Okay. Syria,
sorry.
Saudi, they waited too long, and I remember in June the ministerial council meeting took place in Jeddah for the foreign minister. They did not want to say anything about Syria because literally they want to give enough time to Bashar al-Assad to fix his problem, to overcome that. We supported revolution without knowing who is coming. We are still going to support it even after the revolution comes and without knowing what will be their future position there. But somehow, when we get to the point where the event was taking more across the board and not just limited to one zone, when the casualty and the death was exceeded the acceptable number, when it was more frequently repeated every day. I mean, I was watching this morning, Friday in Syria, what's happening, huge event everywhere, and when the international community came up with the Security Council resolution, the question of delegitimization, that have all put the Saudi and the rest of the GCC to make a clear statement about, the brutal way that Bashar is using against his people, and have encouraged the Arab League, encouraged other countries to have an equal position after the Saudi withdrew their ambassador. They stopped all the support and the aid to Syria. They have taken a very serious measure, and they are constantly in cooperation with the international. I think they have been in full support of the statement yesterday by Secretary General of the UN, Ban Ki-moon, with regard to Syria.
Okay, let's get a libertarian question here. Oh, I'm sorry, Ali Dad. Ali Dad, and then you'll be next.
Thank you, David.